It's just me. Hi, I'm Saya Rankin. I'm with Hollywood Reporter. I'm going to sit for this. And I'm going to bring everybody out. I hope they're in the order in which I'm going to say their names because I can't see them. But hopefully first we have our director extraordinaire and producer, Luca Guadagnino. I believe we have our star actress and producer, Zendaya. And let's see, I believe we're going to have co-composer Trent Reznor next. Co-composer as well, Atticus Ross. Have got producer Rachel O'Connor. She is, and last but certainly not least, producer Amy Pascal. Okay, let's see, gosh, where should we start? Luca, I'm gonna start with you because you are right here and the one who made this happen. I guess something that I feel like is obviously really notable when you watch this movie is like the high octane element of the vibe of the movie, and especially as compared to a lot of your other projects. When you got the script that Justin wrote, were you looking for like that kind of were you looking to change up the energy of the movies you were making? Were you looking for something more kind of intense in that sense, or did it just speak to you as like a challenge? Or maybe to you it didn't even feel like any different than making some of your more cerebral movies?
Well, I think that first of all, hello. We released the movie in April, and here you are still. Thank you. Honestly, the pleasure of my work is to try to understand how to make every movie in the nature of the movie itself. Honestly, I would never, and I may be contradicted by what I do, but I would never try to put a stamp that uniform my work as a sort of signature. I think the energy of the characters is the drive in the first place always, and the story. This is a story of competitive eroticism on the tennis court. So you have already three elements that reclaim kinetic energy. And one of the great sports movie for me is Color of Money, Martin Scorsese. And I'm exhilarated at the memory of how the game of the pool played in that movie, how we worked with the movement of the camera, the energy of the editing, and the interaction between that and the characters and the actors. So I felt like, okay, tennis is not pool, but there is still a rectangle and people. And that's where I started to consider this movie as you said, high octane.
I'm sure Zendaya felt exactly like playing pool. Rectangle, people. I'm so tempted to ask you, when was the last time you did get onto the courts? Since it has been a while now. It's been a while. She's rusty. There's a tennis court on the rooftop, like across the street. We should have done.
If anybody wants to challenge me in air tennis, you're going down. As soon as we put a ball in the mix, it gets a little crazy. No, but honestly, I think part of the challenge and the excitement was that it was this idea of acquiring a new skill. I mean, I have absolutely no tennis experience whatsoever, and I think that sometimes in this crazy job that we have, you get to try new things and explore new parts of yourself and try new things with your body and figure out what it is that you can do. And for me, it was difficult because I was like, she's supposed to be like here, and I'm like below like the ground, you know. And how do I, at least, there's so much more to tennis. It's also such a lonely sport. There's so much, that part I can understand. I can get inside the mind of a tennis player, and I can understand her emotionally, but then understanding her body and how she carries herself physically, especially as she grows older, was something that we kind of had to find together. And when it came to the tennis, I just got frustrated because I was like, I'm not getting good at this. Like, this is really, really hard. It's not something that you can just pick up and be Tashi, you know what I mean? And Tashi's really fucking good, So I think I just tried to approach it like dancing. Dancing is something that feels familiar to me, and everything was choreographed. Luca storyboarded every shot of tennis that you see, and it's so meticulous and thought through and intentional that it just became my job to learn the choreography. We had a fantastic tennis team headed by Brad Gilbert, who was wonderful, and I just kind of tried to learn it like a dance and sync myself up with my tennis double, who was fantastic, and that became my entry point into tennis. But sadly, I cannot play tennis, and everybody asks me that everywhere I go. They're like, do you play tennis? I'm like, no, girl, it's a movie. That is not a real ball. But thank you.
Just how good of a dancer you are, I suppose.
Thank you. I'll tell you who wasn't fooled is Serena. She was like, I was like, understood, I get it. Yeah.
While it's still fresh on all of our minds, not that it would ever get out of our minds, but the final shot there, how many times? Because I know you don't famously do very many takes, but the come on, how many takes did you do?
I think a couple. Yeah.
Same thing.
Couple. Yeah.
What did you do them? Like, what was the direction for that on it? Because it just hits. It's such a obviously important, but it hits such a perfect tone. Do you even remember like what you were?
I think we agreed that there was something primal that comes from within that is unleashed finally. So it's an orgasm. It's like a release, and comes from the same energy that Tashi holds into herself, and that you hear when she's winning over her opponent at the New York games in the flashback in the past. It's something that Tashi has, and probably she has to compress that after she fails as a player because she has the incident, but it's within, and this kind of powerful energy is going to be released again, and I think it's the most beautiful way of closing the movie with this beautiful liberation of her desires, which is the combination of the three together again.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, it's the closest feeling to playing again is through these two people. I mean, I think something that I always connected to so deeply with Tashi was this sense of loss and grief over a life that she never got to have and never got to live. And I love what I do, I love my job, and I couldn't imagine being ripped away from me. And that idea of just like never really having the time to grieve it, and I think Art is very much aware of that. And like he says, he's playing for both of them, and so she's carrying the weight of everybody's life, having not lived her own. And the closest thing she can get to, because I think her one true love, we go back and forth about this a lot, but I believe her one true love is tennis, and always was, always has been, and they are, while she loves them too, it is...
She wants to see good tennis, and they play great tennis.
Exactly, and that's what she wants. And it brings out this, like you said, primal. I remember that was like his word. He was like, just give me like a primal scream. And it's interesting because it was such a key thing in the script, this come on. And I was like, did they really scream like that? And I remember going to watch Pepperdine. I went to a lot of Pepperdine matches while I was prepping, and they do. They absolutely do. It's like it really is just a instinctual primal feeling. They're just like, come on, and it just comes from like this deep place, and it's just this feeling of passion. And So I guess they were an inspiration. Shout out to Pepperdine. But yeah.
Was it spelled C''MON? Or okay. Very different than that.
Very, very different.
I have a come on story, but another time. Not related to the book.
Trent and Atticus, did you guys know right away that you wanted to like score this entirely as opposed to like sourcing songs? And also, did you know immediately, I'm going to use High Octane again because it just feels like like the intensity. Did you have that? Like, did that come right away? Like, this is going to be loud and.
First of all, congratulations.
Yes. Oh my God.
I almost come on yesterday.
Me too. Oh my God.
And where's the trophy? Backstage.
I thought he was going to bring it out. Just water.
We could have had a chair for it, but.
No, this one, as we scored a few films, the way we always start and the way we see our role is simply how can we help best tell the story the director's trying to tell. And part of the fun is deciphering, understanding the role of music and how much, what it needs to be for the picture, and how to best help embellish and tell that story. We just came off a film with Fincher where the idea was no music. Let's see how much we can do with no music at all. And when something does come in, let's not have it sound like music. So it was a different kind of palette to work within. On this film, we read the script. We got to know Luca through Bones and All, which we just worked on, and we established quickly really easily friendship and a trust and artistic connection, and found him to be the best kind of collaborator, one that gives you room to do what you do, but trusts what you do and fills you with the kind of confidence and courage to know that you're in a place where you feel safe and you feel encouraged to try things. So with this film, we read the script. We had a quick description from Luca. It's very sexy. And when we saw the first cut, it changes pretty significantly because you see what Luca brings to it in terms of how he's shot it, and you see how it comes to life with the, in this case, brilliant acting of the leads. It really made it feel like it jumps off the page and it becomes something that's much more significant. And right around that time, conversation with Luca where he said, I think, look, you guys can do whatever you want, but might I suggest, what if we make the music propulsive, almost techno, in your face, a character in the movie, loud, unavoidable, and something where the audience could dance through the whole movie in their seats. Frankly, that isn't where we would instinctually start. But it was exciting to experiment and try. Again, that's what draws us to working in film and taking on these projects, which feels a lot different than our day job in rock band. And once we started down that path, pretty quickly, we were excited about the prospect of how the scenes felt now with this other energy. We were excited to play for him. We got a quick response of, we knew we were on the right path, and he knew we were on the right path. And then it was interesting to see as the challenge to take this form of music and try to work it as score, which became much more difficult than we initially thought it would be, because it needs to function as score, it needs to tell the story, it needs to hit the marks, it needs to do everything a score would do, but it also needs to adhere to the format of dance music, so it has a rigid expectation. It needs to feel hypnotic, it needs to be a measure of 4 beats, snares have to happen in the right spot. And the film wasn't cut to the music was created to film. So it became a puzzle, and it also became a challenge as we watched the film evolve. The bold decisions on the part of Luca to keep it loud to have like the scene, the bedroom conflict when the music comes in loud, and you're struggling at times to hear the dialogue. But if you turn the music down, it doesn't feel the same. It feels passive. With it at that volume, it changed the film pretty significantly, and was I think a real bold choice that made for an interesting and great film, and that you couldn't ask for more than to be involved in something like that. With friends, really respect. It's a long answer.
At what point did you realize that like the tracks themselves were going to be something that people like pulled up on their Spotify and listened to? And were you surprised by that at all?
At no point. No point did we think that when we were doing the film, and it's very nice that that happened. But I do think part of why that did happen was sometimes we can psych ourselves out and overcomplicate things. And I think that this listening in the back sounded fucking good. I mean, I'm not saying that everything, but it did. And I think that's because, it's a film about passion, that investigates passion. And I think the music comes from our gut more than our head in this film. I mean, I think it does all the nuance that the storytelling needs to do, but I really feel that we were in it. And I think that translates to the Spotify question.
Rachel and Amy, I guess, oh gosh, it's like I could ask you questions for hours because of everything you've done, but out of everything you've made, where would you kind of rank the process of getting this from like seeing this on the blacklist to April 26th, I want to say 2024? Like how hard or easy was it when you look back?
It wasn't. Is it on? Do you want me to yell?
Like that?
There we go.
It wasn't on the blacklist.
We had it before the.
Yeah, we had it before then. We got a copy of it from Justin's agent, and the first call we made was to Z, because we thought that she would be a fantastic partner on this movie for us, and we knew she would be she'd play the part brilliantly. And then the three of us said like one name who could direct this movie, and it was Luca, and I was tasked with begging him since I knew him, so I did. And this movie, the thing about being a producer is to work with people who have exquisite taste. And you look really smart if you do that. And the astonishing thing about Luca is that he knows absolutely exactly what he's going to do. And yet he listens and makes everyone feel like they're passionately involved in every decision so that he gets the best work out of people because he loves them into contributing in a way that I haven't seen a director do, but that he has a team of people that he works with, the boys included, who are working at a level that not a lot of people in our business are trying for anymore. And it was, I'll say one more thing, I know now I'm talking a long time and I never do.
We like it.
Is that what was great is that it was an original story. It wasn't based on anything except something that was in Justin's mind about the relationship between a coach and a player. And from that, he created this modern, propulsive, unusual, kind of really bold story that then Luca elevated into something different altogether.
Did you two know when you thought of? It's like I almost called you Z, like I know you. Did you think as well did you go out immediately and say, will you produce this with us as well? Was that from
Absolutely, yeah. She was the perfect partner for us.
What, if you could possibly sum up kind of what you learned about, I guess, yourself as a producer from this experience?
Well, I think kind of to what Amy's saying is, you know, you get to surround yourself with talented people that you get to work with, but you also get to learn from. And I kind of get to learn from like the best, and it's so cool and it's so special. And going back to, you know, I love what I do, so I'd be on set all day anyway. I'd want to be there to shadow and to watch everyone work and watch Luca do his thing and ask him a bunch of questions anyway. But the fact that I get to do it and also do it for a reason is really cool. And I don't know, it just allows you the space to learn. It allows you the space to create. It allows you the space to, I don't know, you can, I don't know, just flex so many parts of yourself. I keep saying like learning different parts of yourself, but this movie really did that, whether it was, you know, through Tashi, but also learning more about Zendaya and what she was capable of as a producer as well, and being able to kind of be in the room and be part of these conversations, and all the way through to marketing and trying to figure out how to sell a movie and get people to see it. It's really quite an adventure, but I'm, you know, grateful for the people I got to go on this adventure with and learn from, and yeah, it's so special. It really is, and yeah, I don't know if I have anything more to add, but yeah.
Rachel, just talk.
Yeah, do it.
Recite a poem.
I have a question for you. I feel like a lot of producers talk about there's like one moment in the life of a film where like a little bit of panic sets in for whatever reason, whether it's a location, whether it's financing, whether it's a pandemic or a strike or what have you. Did you have a day or an afternoon or a long night like that on this one?
Don't tell.
Weather, shooting outside, tennis, weather, wind, can't control that. That was difficult.
There were a lot of moments of panic, and honestly, the prep period is the shortest that we've ever done. And it was our first time working with Luca, even though Amy and Luca knew each other for a long time. And luckily, he does everything brilliantly, but also really fast. So it was enough time, but there was so many times where it was like, we couldn't get a crew for the wardrobe department in Boston because it was so crowded and competitive at the time. And it just felt like, and Zendaya had a hard out for Dune, a little movie people might have heard of. And so we sort of had this one window to make it all, pull it all together. I think it was maybe 2 months of prep. And so there were like a lot of sleepless nights during that period, but we made it just under the wire.
Luca, do you feel like you now have a sense of like what audiences, how they're going to react to your films, what they're going to connect to, what they're going to take away, what the kind of like life of the movie is? And if so, I'm curious how you thought about like the way that now Challengers is like in the zeitgeist in such a specific way. Does that still surprise you, the way that people will gleam on to certain parts or connect to things?
Well, being a very hardcore cinephile, I am though someone who is still pinching himself about being able to make this job, having what I do in front of an audience, not only an audience, but audiences throughout the world, because I'm lucky that the work I do has literally worldwide distribution. It humbles me a lot, and no, I'm always surprised, always, and I think I always will be, because I think the movie making is a strange, rare bird. It's like many things. It's a collective experience where we all together gather to make something in this heightened window of time where really all the emotions are heightened and we are all concurring to do something so difficult and yet so full of enthusiasm. And at the same time, it's all in the head of the director, and so it's an abstraction that becomes a reality. So if I have to add to that the like previewing the audience reaction, I think it would be presumptuous. What we know we do is that we really put all our heart and our passion and our wisdom and what we have learned about ourselves, about one another, about the interaction with one another, I would say, onto the screen. But we also have the support, I must say, of a great studio. This was my third movie with Amazon MGM, and I did another one. So it's like, there's a great energy in that too, like that you work with a great team of people who are somehow invisible, but they are so important into the creation of the movie itself. Because the movie, we finish the movie and then the movie has to be brought out into the world. To answer your question then, it's another adventure. How do we bring it out to the world? And that collaboration with the studio is essential.
No, I just wanted to add to what you're saying, because it was a huge conversation we had in the beginning of making this was how important it was that this was in theaters and that people got to have that cinematic experience and see it in a theater. I mean, there's just nothing like it, you know? There's nothing like that experience, and I want that to continue. I want it to exist, and it's so special that a movie like this, like you said, that's, you know, an original idea, gets to be seen in this way, and you know, we're all incredibly grateful that people came and saw it and saw it again and with their friends and had such like a visceral reaction to it, and you know, had so many questions to ask in the end, and there was, you know, everybody has their opinions about who wins, whose team they're on, and who, you know, this and that, Team Tashi personally, but you know, that's the joys of the movie going experience, and I think it's so special. I mean, I've grown up just watching movies all day at the movie theater. That was like what you did on the weekends. There was nothing else to do, you know. So it's really special to be able to have that and see great filmmakers like Luca being able to experience his work in that way. So I know that was a priority for all of us.
I want to say one more thing about Luca. Luca's made a lot of movies that appeal to people that are, I don't know, younger. And I think that he has a teenager's love at heart that he puts in. You know the way you love somebody when you're a teenager? Luca does. He loves everybody like that. And he puts that into the movies. And I think that's part of the reason that the movie caught on the way it did, is that so many people felt so recognized. I mean, like with Call Me By Your Name and Bones and All, he has a unique ability to speak directly to people's hearts.
Thank you.
Fourth wall here. Anyone know? Am I running out of time, or I still have some more questions? If I'm not getting them, oh, I have more. Okay. Well, I wanted to ask if anyone sat in for a regular folk screening, because the adrenaline in the room when Josh does the symbol was like probably the highest high I felt in 2024. So because of the college, but I don't know if any of you guys got to experience that.
We watched the movie at the Los Angeles premiere and the London premiere. It was interesting because different nations, I wouldn't say same reaction, but reactions. Yes.
I really enjoyed it. I personally, I tried to convince the boys they hate watching themselves back, but I was like, you guys are so good, you have to see it. And it's so fun because people like shout at the screen and they're like, you know, it's just such a fun experience. So I tried to get them to experience the experience of challengers, you know. For me, I am dancing in my seat. I can't, every time, backstage, literally, I was like, let's go, you know, but it really just has that energy all the way through. It's quite a roller coaster.
Before we run out of time, did we want to try to call,
Justin.
yeah. We were gonna, so Justin is in Palm Springs. It's a little film festival over there.
For another movie.
That you might have heard of.
Let's call it, right?
Yeah, let's get him on the horn because I am dying to know. But there's so many iconic lines in this movie and so many iconic like big scenes like that, and I want to know what he's most proud of. I want to know why it's the line about the white boys.
We also got the luxury of rehearsal and asking Justin a lot of questions. I was like, why?
Hey, Justin. Hi.
Hi, Luca.
You are in front of an audience at the Pacific Design Center. Okay, we have a question for you.
Okay, so
Okay.
we want to know. Hi, Jesse. This is Saya from Hollywood Reporter. We want to know. I'm really
Hey.
curious. Out of all the incredible lines and moments in the movie, is there one like scene or moment or line that you're like most proud of writing? Where when you watch the movie, you're like, hell yeah, that was me.
Well, that's so nice. And thank you all for being here and watching the movie. I think that the moment that I'm most proud of is the ending of the movie. I always knew that we weren't going to declare a winner of this match, that by the end of this movie, the official score of the match doesn't matter anymore because these characters are having the most open and honest conversation of their lives, and they're having it through tennis. And why I'm proud of that is because everybody on the stage there tonight really believed in that and fought for it with me to have that ending. And when it comes to like a line in the script that I'm proud of, I think there's a line I wrote that's an action line. It's not a line of dialogue, but when I wrote it, I didn't know how significant it would become, which was that as Tashi is watching Art and Patrick play this amazing point that ends the movie, I wrote that I wanted it to feel like Tashi was finally playing again too. And so I wrote that Tashi plays as Patrick, she plays as Art, she plays as the ball itself. And I couldn't have known when I wrote that Luca was going to take that literally. And make the camera become the ball. And now it's like the most thrilling thing in the world when I watch the movie. So, yeah, I'm very proud of that.
Now he's back at queer.
That's really interesting. I didn't. That's such a good story for how, because that's like another question I would have wanted to ask if we had all the time in the world is about that shot, but he just answered that. I guess one question I will end on is, and I know he just answered that the important thing was that there is no score at the end of the match. But I know sometimes people do a lot of like backstory, and you have a lot of things going on in your own head about the truth of a movie when you're making it. Did you, Luca, have to, and you don't have to tell us who it was, but did you pick a winner of the match in your head as you were making this movie?
I didn't. I think tennis wins, which means that the eroticism wins.
All sides of the triangle
Yeah, that's super important. You know, in triangle, in a really free progressive triangle, all the corners touches. In the fascistic one against two or something like that. Or two against one, even worse. No, here all touches.
Thank you everybody for